Here we are today in a very cold speaker's corner, and today I want to talk to Christians about the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, as we read of in the New Testament. So I'm going to go around now, speak to Christians and invite them to have an honest-to-God debate. If they have a chance to express themselves, I'll have a chance to talk, and let's see who will agree to debate today. Let's go. They were all here. Trouble is they were all here, now they're all gone. So, here we go. Hi, I'm looking to have a debate with Christians about the resurrection of Jesus from the dead today. Would anyone like to have a debate with me about the resurrection of Jesus from the dead, as we read about in the holy book of the Bible? Would anyone like to have a debate with me? No, just about Jesus rise from the dead. Will you have a debate? Will you have a debate with me today? No.
Muhammad, yeah, of course.
No, about Jesus rising from the dead.
We're talking about Muhammad as well.
No, Jesus. No, I'm just talking about Jesus.
Go and find someone
no.
else.
Okay, will you have a debate with me today about? Go and find someone else.
Why is it always your agenda?
This is Hatun, folks. Hatun. Hello. Now, invitation to you. Will you have a debate with me now about Jesus, now Nazareth, rising from the dead in the New Testament?
Did you shake a hand?
Why are you shaking a hand?
Why are you shaking a hand?
Because I want to.
Whoa.
Will you have a debate with me? Will you have a debate with me?
I would love to talk to you about the resurrection of Jesus.
Yes,
After
now.
When I finish the topic I'm going to do on the letter,
Yes.
in the condition
Yes.
to talk to death and resurrection of the
The death and resurrection, absolutely. We'll have it today. So it's 5 o'clock now. What time should we have this debate
It's
officially?
not 5.
Yes, it's 5 o'clock. That's right. 3 o'clock. 1500.
When I finish the letter, sir.
It's 1500.
When I finish the letter.
How long will you be, do you think?
We don't know.
Okay, so we've got Hatun agreeing now publicly to have a debate with me on the death and resurrection of
We
Jesus,
got you shaking a hand.
particularly the resurrection of
We
Jesus.
got you shaking a hand.
I'm going to have a debate on death and resurrection of Jesus.
Right. The death and resurrection. So in the meantime, would you like to have a debate on the death and resurrection of Jesus, sir?
Why is he shaking a hand?
Would anyone like to have a... No? Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Would you like to have a debate on the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ in the Bible? Because you're a good Christian, aren't you? You're a missionary Christian. So would you like to have a debate now about the death and resurrection of Jesus in the Bible? No? Okay, any other Christians here? You're a Christian, sir, aren't you? Yes. Would you like to have a debate with me now about the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ in the Bible? No. Why will no one talk to me? Is it my body odour? What is it about me? Okay. Anyone else? So let's move on. Let's move on.
Stop being childish, Godwin. Stop being childish.
Trying to find some Christians. Oh, there's a cushion over here.
Jesus' entire teaching was about his...
Gentlemen, are you Christians?
No.
Oh, how'd you question? I beg your pardon? Let me move on.
No other Mickey Mouse who's going to come and debate. No one else. So if you think you have others to follow based on this, wake up. Wake up. Yes. Because the Bible is extremely clear.
Good. Can I invite you to debate now about the death and resurrection of Jesus? Will you debate with me, a Muslim, about the death and
There are plenty of other
Jesus?
people apart from Muslims here.
Will you debate with me now?
What? You said he was God. Why say he's a sinner?
No? Will you, sir, debate with me now about the death and resurrection of Jesus in the Bible?
He's the Son of Man
Hello?
also.
Hello?
Jesus is God who became man.
No.
Both are
The death and resurrection of Jesus. Will you debate with me now? The death and
When
resurrection of
Jesus
Jesus.
goes around claiming he was God,
Will you debate
he
with
will
me
still
about
be...
the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ in the Bible? Will you debate me now?
When Jesus goes
Invitation,
around
sir.
talking about
Open
him
invitation.
being
Open
God,
invitation. It's
be
Jesus
extremely
God.
accurate in taking that
Jesus.
place.
Let us talk about
And when that
Jesus.
same Jesus Christ goes around,
The death and resurrection. Let us debate
goes
it.
around talking about him, goes around talking about him being Son of Man, even that would be historical.
Come on, let's keep on going. We might find someone. Let's try and find a Christian who will even debate. We're in Speaker's Corner, where everyone debates anything. No Christian will debate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Why is this? What is it? What is the big secret? What's really going on? Let's carry on.
Hey, Paul, he's want to debate.
Oh.
When do you want to debate?
Now.
Not now.
Why not?
We fix the time.
Right, half an hour's time.
No.
40 minutes time. 60 minutes time.
What precisely is what you want to discuss about?
I want to debate. No, I wanted to have a debate with a Christian about the death and resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth in the New Testament.
In the Bible. Have you got your Bible there? Yeah.
What is your proposition?
Sorry, did you not just hear what I just said? My proposition is...
That's a broad area.
It's very broad.
But what would you like to argue about? What would you like to argue for?
I would like to hear a Christian defend the New Testament claims that about the death and resurrection, and particularly the resurrection, are historically accurate. All of those. All of that.
All of them is too broad. If you want to narrow down historical reliability, we could talk about New Testament consistency. We could talk about these are various different things. So, but not now.
When?
Not today.
When? Not today. Oh, not today. Right, next week. Are you here next week, sir?
All right, okay,
Come on, man. It's more important. It's the core of your belief. Come on, man.
Let's get a debate.
It's the core of your belief, and now you backed up.
So when are you going to be free?
Come on, man.
When are you going to be free?
What are you scared of?
Sunday.
3 o'clock next Sunday. We'll have this debate here. Yeah.
Shake on it. Shake hand on it.
Hang on.
Precise topic is going to be.
Well, it is your gospel, sir. It is the gospel that you preach,
Gospel.
which is that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose again on the third day.
It's the core of your
in
belief.
accordance with the scriptures, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 3. I would like to hear you defend that, and I would like to offer my own responses to that from the Islamic point of view.
Historical reliability. Whatever. There are plenty of things to debate about resurrection.
We're talking about the death and resurrection of Jesus. What don't you grasp about? It's quite straightforward in my view.
No.
Very
That's a
straightforward.
grasp. All I'm saying is it's a very broad, very deep topic.
Well, you pick what you want within that, and I will respond accordingly. Do you agree to have a debate next Sunday?
All right.
Do you agree next Sunday?
God, do it now.
God willing.
Do it now.
3 o'clock. We'll do it now. We're all here now. We got cameras. I'm here. You're here. We'll do it now.
Let's have other people here. We need to talk about them.
Well, there'll be plenty of people here next week as well. So
Yeah, next week. So we will decide. So next week, God willing, what time?
3 o'clock. Now it's 3 o'clock now.
Next
this
week.
time next week, 3 o'clock. Good, excellent. We have someone. Now let's see if someone will debate me today. Now, all these Christians.
All right. My God's grace now.
There's some Christians here who obviously proclaim Jesus as the cross. Sir, I'm a Muslim, and I'm inviting you to debate me now about the death and resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth, as we read about it in the New Testament. Would you have a debate with me now about that?
The real problem is I'm going home.
You're going home? Okay. Anyone else here? Oh, not you, Pat.
As usual, I want to record this. This man is late for church. And you should
Late,
record
I'm a
this.
Muslim and I go to church.
He's late for church again, not just once.
Okay, so what about next week? Will you debate me next week about the resurrection of Jesus in the New Testament?
He always arrives late for church.
Okay, will you debate me next week if you're going home now
No,
about
I've
the
been here
resurrection of
since
Jesus?
11 o'clock. No, actually 10 o'clock this morning.
What about next Sunday?
My voice is largely gone.
Shall we say 2 o'clock next week, sir?
But I can assure you,
2 o'clock
I
next
will
week?
still love this man next week.
I feel your love even now. I feel it in the depths of my bowels. Now, next Sunday, would you like to debate me on the death and resurrection of Jesus?
Is the question.
He said he loves me.
Does he?
Yeah. So, coming back to the question,
Shall
shall we book a time?
I believe you.
Who's that?
Because he wants to tell you the truth.
Him. All right, but maybe next week if you're here. All the best to you, sir. Let's have another Christian. Go to another Christian and see how they debate me now.
Only Jesus can forgive your sin.
Thank you.
Only Jesus can deal with the guilt.
Sir, I have an invitation for you, sir.
No invitation at all.
Will you debate
I'm
me
not
on the death
interested.
and the
I'm
resurrection
only
of Jesus of Nazareth?
I don't argue with people.
I'm asking
I
you-
don't
it's not a
debate
question.
with people because I'm telling you the solution to your guilt.
Will you debate me next week,
Now
sir?
listen, no.
Will you debate me
I
next
never
week?
debate.
Paul did.
I
The
don't
Apostle
debate.
Paul.
Listen,
the Apostle
I don't
Paul
debate with the
in the
devil.
book of Acts went around and debated people.
Listen
so
to me.
Christians do it,
You
but he
can come
won't.
and
The
take
Apostle
my
Paul.
congregation over. Go and get your stand and get up.
Will you
Do it.
discuss with me the
No,
death and
I am
resurrection
not
of Jesus?
discussing anything with you.
Okay,
That
but
is it.
so
There goes the crowd.
Very angry
It's
man.
all right. No, he's very unhappy.
Let's find another Christian. Let's find another Christian who, so far, no Christian will debate me so far today. So let's continue to.
We want democracy. There are in police force. Where did we go to mow them down?
I'm going around talking to Christians to find a Christian who will debate me about the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and none will.
You're a murderer. They hate you.
Well,
They're
no,
frightened.
I want to keep this objective and, God willing, a very fair and balanced discussion. So I'm still looking for Christians. If you know, do you have any Christians written? No.
I
You
have
checked
none.
your bag.
You have none? None there.
Do you have any Christians sneaked away anywhere? No. Let's continue to have a look for them. I think this guy's a Christian.
And allow elections. As we live here now,
Have a discussion about the death and the resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth at Speaker's Corner. No? Is it my body? What is it? What is it? Go.
You might as well as debate Muslims.
The trouble is I tend to agree with what they say. Okay, let's can you see any Christians? Who? So, alright, so I'll just wrap this up. So, maybe Hatun will debate me. I doubt it. In my experience, she cannot keep on the subject. She'll always want to bash Muhammed. She'll want to bash Muslims. She never wants to talk about her own faith. Here's a missionary who won't talk about her own religion, which is a bit suspicious. Would you trust someone who wouldn't talk about their own faith but wants to bash other religions all the time? I think there's something funny going on there. But the point I'm going to make is about the death and resurrection of Jesus. If you look at the accounts in detail, there are contradictions, there are discrepancies, and the earliest account we have in the New Testament is the Apostle Paul, who says that he saw the resurrected Jesus. And do you know what happened? The people with him, it says in the book of Acts, saw nothing. They saw nothing. So this resurrection of Jesus actually is more like a vision. And lots of people have visions of the Virgin Mary, visions of Buddha, visions of... I even think I have visions of J. Smith on a bad day. It doesn't mean, though, that these are real, that they're objective, that they're substantial. So I just wanted to talk to them about the appearances of Jesus in the New Testament, the fact that in some of the accounts, basically no one saw anything. The crowd saw nothing apart from the one person who thinks they saw Jesus, and how they contradict each other. And that being the case, how can it be true? How can we trust these accounts? And a killer verse actually is in Matthew 28, at the end of Matthew's Gospel, when Jesus has apparently risen from the dead, and it says in one of the last sentences in that Gospel that they all doubted. They'd all seen Jesus, and then even Matthew says they doubted. You can look it up in Matthew 28, the end of that chapter. So Christians today who are certain about the resurrection of Jesus have more confidence than the original disciples did about their faith. And these Christians today are 2,000 years later. How can they have more confidence than the original disciples who doubted after the fact that Jesus rose from the dead? This is not a solid foundation, I think, for belief. And you compare that with the excellent historical evidence we have for the Quran, its transmission, its reliability, the historicity of Muhammad, we know about his life. Western scholars, in the main, accept that, as do Muslims as well. It's a much more solidly grounded faith. So that's my view. So hopefully we'll talk to some Christians at some point, inshallah.